What's up, guys? Mad Rambles, episode 19. Nearly 20 days in. I said last week, every Sunday, which it is today, we will find 2 ways in which I can improve and implement it in next week every day, and obviously carry on the past things I've tried to implement. Last Sunday, I said I'd come with an idea and I'd sound more enthusiastic. I like to think I've done that, so we're going to continue to do that. But for this week's, I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna try have the production value a little better, in the sense that I recognise that sometimes I'm in a dark space or it's a bit dingy. It's hard to see me. It's hard to see my facial expressions and whatnot. So I'm gonna try to keep that perfect every single day. So just try so that you can see me and that you can see my hand movements and stuff. Sometimes the camera's up high, sometimes the camera's low. Try to keep it as consistent and as good as possible, whilst it's still just me talking to my camera. That's the first thing. And number 2 is be more precise in what I'm trying to say. So when I talked about my note taking the other day, I just said about note taking. I just said, we do note taking, rather than how do I do it? Get into the nitty gritties. I've talked about details before, but then I don't go into the details of my stuff. So I really want to do that, and when I break something down, go into the nitty gritty and the details of it, even if that means it carries over for 2 episodes, so be it. As long as you get into the details and I can say exactly what I'm doing, not just scamming over it and just saying, I do this, I like to learn by taking notes, doing this. Alright, cool. How do you like to learn? How do you like to take notes? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? So that not only I can record what I'm doing, so I can see it in the future and make changes and try to get better at it, but that other people who potentially find my videos valuable, if there's anybody out there who does, they can replicate it and they can see what I'm doing and they can take every bit what I'm saying piece by piece and implement it, and hopefully it'll add value to their lives, which is ultimately why I'm doing this and what would be the most beneficial for me doing this. So last week about a topic. Today's topic will be rest. The importance of why do we rest? I feel like we rest because we cannot achieve success at the current volume or intensity we're doing. And this has plagued my mind a lot. I think I briefly mentioned this before, but a lot of the time in my life, I've thought bad of people who rest. I thought, oh, well, they're resting, And this would plague me, and I'd work myself out to the bone, and then I'd be in bed the next 3 days because I'm so tired, I'm so dead, I didn't sleep. Whilst if I just sat there and was like, you know what, the quality of my work has just dipped, because at the end of the day I'm just dead. Like, I've pushed and pushed and pushed, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, so what's the fucking point? Just go to sleep, rest, watch a podcast, chill, and then attack it the next day. And I'm not even going to try to say his last name because I ain't got a fucking clue how to say it. But there's a South African entrepreneur called Vusi. His last name begins with T, that's all I'll say. And he was on the South African Dragons Den. He talks about how rest is so important. He did a little Q&A, and one of the questions was, Vusi, when do I rest? When do I rest? Should I rest? Should I not rest? And he was like, look, I'll say something that's controversial. And it kind of is in today's society, where it's just go, 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 go. But he said rest. Sit there, rest. If you cannot achieve the output of work you desire at the quality you desire, then that is when you need to rest. For instance, for me, I'd stay up late trying to write ebooks to promote a certain business that I'm working on at the moment. And I stay up late trying to write these ebooks to provide free value to people. And I'd be writing them. And I get to the point where I'm just trying to read over and read what I'm doing. I'm reading the same sentence like 4 or 5 times. and it's just going in one ear, out the other, and it's just pointless. And I spent 10 minutes reading a fucking sentence because I'm that caffeine supplies, I'm that tired that I just can't do it anymore. And that's when I feel like when you're young and I do this, you sort of just gotta hold your hand up and be like, look, call it a day. Call it a day, or call it a session. Sit there, rest, do fucking nothing, and then attack. Because for me, when I was unproductive in my life, I thought, alright, cool, how can I be the opposite? Because when you're so unproductive, you do nothing. So obviously, for me, who has a tendency to be extreme, you go from one extreme to the other. And then you go from doing nothing to doing everything. Hammer, 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 hammer. Try to get better. Until you can't. And then you revert your cycle because you can't do anything because you've just given everything. And then it's too tired and it's too hard to go on. Blah, 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 blah. And then you're just in this loop. And you're just in this forever obsession cycle. Rather than being obsessed obsessed as you can be. But acknowledging, look, my quality of work has gone down. And Alex Hormozy says this in a beautiful way that I can't say verbatim, but he basically, the essence is, he says, when the quality of work dips, that's when you stop. And rest becomes more important than doing work. Because if you were to rest for an hour, then the quality of your work for the next 2 hours afterwards will be so much higher than the next 3 hours if you just kept going. And I think that is extremely important to realise, and a lot of people need to realise that. But then in the same breath, hit that sweet spot where you're actually giving 100%. Where you're actually giving 100%. And you're not just like, oh, I feel a bit tired, so you're cutting out. It's like 6, oh, I'll watch some TV. You're not, no. There is a happy medium. I'm not saying just half-arse it, and I'm not saying don't give 200%, because you should every day. But understand that will come a point where rest will be more beneficial than you keeping doing this work. Because like I said, if you were to rest for an hour now, then the 2 hours afterwards would be so much better than if you just didn't and you just went and worked. But I find that point is hard to pinpoint. I'm trying to get better every single day at pinpointing it. Because I truly believe that will allow me to just do more in-depth and higher quality of work, which will just hopefully propel me to where I want to be. And on the flip side of the coin, I feel like a lot of people, when they work, it's common knowledge that they just don't work deeply. And you hear all the time about people talking deep work, at least I have, and deep work is the building blocks of success. You know, you work 2 hours deep, hammer at home, do nothing but work. All you're doing is work. And that is important, not be like, oh, working, oh, text message, oh, yeah, oh, video, this is cool. No, you're 2 hours, you're working. And then on the flip side, when you rest, it's not alright, cool, I'm gonna rest for half an hour. Oh, but let me check my emails. Oh, I'm thinking about, how can I make that better? How can I make that business better? How can I do this, and this? No, because then you're not resting. And to do 100% in your rest is as important to do 100% in your work mode. Because when people, I've noticed that don't work properly, don't get their shit done. But then when the people don't rest properly, they don't get their shit done when they go back into working because they're not fully recovered and not fully ready to work. And then it becomes sort of a scale of, alright, you're kind of resting, but you're doing a little bit of work on the side, and then it flips, and you're like, oh, you are doing work, but you're kind of resting. You're just taking it easy, and that way you just stay in a little zone, and you don't really get out of your comfort zone, but you never grow as a result because you never pushed yourself. You've never seen what you're capable of. So, giving 100% in everything, including your rests. I see this with people in the gym when they're trying to get big and strong. They're trying to do loads of weights in the rest. They're like, let's go. They've done bench press, and then they're like, oh, I'm fucking dying. I'll do push-ups. And then they give themselves like 2 seconds rest, and they go back on. They're like, oh, I can't bench anymore. Oh shit, mate, your muscle's fatigued, and as the brain is the muscle, it's the same. rather than going, all right, cool, depending on what they're training for, depends on the rest time. But rather than going, all right, cool, bench. All right, now I'm a rest. 45 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever your goal is. Sit there, rest, do nothing, and then you go and attack, and that's how you get progress. That is how you achieve success. And in business, it's the same shit. And I feel that, I've noticed that, and I'm adamant of that from what I've seen and from what I know now and for what has worked in me. And that's over 10 minutes. It's been cool. I've been Keelan. Peace.